My name is Samantha Reed, and for an extended period, I genuinely believed I was living an idyllic life. I was 38 years old, an author with several published books, residing in a charming, cozy apartment in Manhattan with my husband, Eric. He worked as a financial consultant, and merely hearing his voice possessed an uncanny ability to soothe my anxieties. He consistently articulated my name in the most endearing manner, as if it held a profound and unique significance. Every morning, he would gently press a kiss upon my forehead and present me with coffee meticulously prepared precisely to my liking. Each night, he would tenderly whisper, "You're my entire world." And I, with unwavering conviction, believed him. I truly did. But then, one fateful night, everything irrevocably transformed. It was nearing midnight when I awoke and realized the bed beside me was empty. I initially presumed Eric might have gone downstairs to retrieve a snack or check on something. I merely rolled over, intending to drift back into slumber. Then, a voice reached my ears. It was Eric's voice, emanating from his home office. He sounded remarkably serious. "She still doesn't suspect anything," he stated, his tone low and conspiratorial. I instantly froze, my heart commencing a frantic, accelerated rhythm. My breath hitched in my throat. I cautiously sat upright and strained to listen more intently. "Everything's progressing as planned. Almost finished," he added, his voice barely above a whisper. With deliberate quietness, I extricated myself from the bed and tiptoed into the hallway. I leaned against the wall directly outside his office door, which was slightly ajar, a sliver of light escaping through the narrow crack. I couldn't discern much more of the conversation, but honestly, I didn't need to. I had already heard more than enough. I silently returned to bed and feigned sleep. Eric reappeared a few minutes later and slipped in beside me, as if nothing out of the ordinary had transpired. My mind, however, was reeling. The man I had loved, the man who had promised me eternity, was meticulously planning my downfall. Every tender kiss, every heartfelt whisper of affection, now felt like a cruel deception. A cold, chilling dread began to settle deep within my stomach. I lay there, motionless, pretending to be lost in slumber, while my inner world disintegrated into a million shattered pieces. The ensuing days unfolded in a blur of disorienting unreality. I moved through life like a ghost, meticulously performing my daily routines, all the while consumed by the terrifying knowledge of Eric's treachery. He continued to play the role of the devoted husband, showering me with affection, planning our supposed future. Each loving gesture, each seemingly sincere word, felt like a barbed hook tearing at my already frayed nerves. I desperately wanted to confront him, to scream, to demand answers, but a survival instinct, a cold, calculating resolve, held me back. I knew I needed to act strategically, not emotionally. I needed to protect myself. My first thought was of my financial situation. I had accumulated a substantial personal fortune, derived from my successful writing career and shrewd investments, carefully managed in a private trust. This trust was entirely separate from our joint accounts, a safeguard I had established years ago, long before Eric, driven by a subtle, almost imperceptible intuition that had now, chillingly, proven correct. My legal team had meticulously structured it, ensuring my assets were well protected and inaccessible to anyone but me. But now, a terrifying thought gnawed at me. If Eric was planning a divorce, he would undoubtedly attempt to seize a portion of it. I had to move faster, be smarter. The very next morning, I contacted my trusted financial advisor, Mr. Albright. I spoke to him in hushed, urgent tones, meticulously outlining the situation. "Mr. Albright," I began, my voice trembling slightly, "I need to consolidate my assets. Immediately. Everything." He listened with professional calm, asking clarifying questions, his experienced mind already grasping the gravity of the situation. Within a week, with his expert guidance, every single one of my investments, every penny of my considerable fortune, a staggering $500 million, was securely transferred into a new, completely untraceable offshore trust. It was a clandestine operation, executed with the utmost discretion. Not even Eric, with all his financial acumen, would be able to discover its existence. I had, in essence, vanished my wealth, rendering it invisible to his avaricious grasp. Just 3 days later, the inevitable occurred. Eric approached me, his face a mask of feigned regret and carefully practiced sadness. "Samantha," he began, his voice laced with artificial sorrow, "I've been doing a lot of thinking. I don't think this is working out. The words, though anticipated, still pierced me like sharp daggers. He delivered the rehearsed speech. We had grown apart. Our paths were diverging. He wanted different things. It was a meticulously crafted monologue, designed to absolve himself of all blame, to make me feel responsible for the demise of our marriage. I listened, my face carefully neutral, betraying none of the turmoil raging within me. When he finally finished, I simply nodded. I understand, I said, my voice surprisingly steady. What do you propose? He then presented me with the meticulously prepared divorce papers, already signed by his lawyer, detailing his generous settlement offer. He wanted the apartment, a portion of my future book royalties, and, of course, a substantial share of my liquid assets. His eyes glinted with a subtle triumph, completely oblivious to the fact that his carefully constructed illusion of wealth was now nothing more than a mirage. I took the papers, my hands not shaking, a surprising calmness settling over me. I'll review these with my lawyer, I stated, my voice cool and composed. You'll be hearing from him. Eric looked momentarily stunned, perhaps expecting tears, or an emotional outburst, or a desperate plea for reconciliation. His smug expression faltered for a fleeting moment, replaced by a flicker of confusion. But he quickly recovered, reverting to his self-assured demeanor. He was, after all, a master manipulator, confident in his ability to control every outcome. He had no idea what was truly awaiting him. The ensuing legal battle was an absolute nightmare. Eric was furious. He hired a formidable, notoriously aggressive lawyer, a woman known for her cutthroat tactics and her penchant for destroying reputations. She launched a vicious smear campaign against me, attempting to paint me as an ungrateful, cold-hearted wife who had exploited Eric's kindness for financial gain. They publicly accused me of hiding assets, of being emotionally unstable, of being entirely unworthy of my own success. It was a brutal assault on my character, designed to break me, to force me into submission. I, however, remained steadfast. My lawyer, Mr. Thompson, a quiet but incredibly astute legal mind, was a beacon of unwavering support. He meticulously countered every false accusation, every baseless claim. He systematically dismantled Eric's meticulously constructed lies, exposing his manipulative nature and his profound lack of integrity. The discovery process was excruciating, forcing me to relive every painful detail of Eric's betrayal, every calculated deception. But I endured. I attended every deposition, answered every question with unwavering honesty, and provided every piece of evidence that substantiated my claims. I was not fighting for vengeance. I was fighting for justice, for my inherent worth, for the sanctity of truth itself. The climactic moment arrived during the cross-examination. Eric was on the stand, attempting to portray himself as the wronged party, the victim of a cold and calculating wife. Mr. Thompson, with a quiet intensity, began to question him about his financial holdings, about the substantial investments he had claimed were shared, about his supposed contributions to my trust. Eric, confident in his deception, responded with practiced ease, weaving a tangled web of carefully constructed falsehoods. And then, Mr. Thompson delivered the crushing blow. He presented a meticulously compiled report detailing the complete absence of Eric's name, or any of his assets, from my trust. He showed the court irrefutable evidence of the offshore transfers, executed with meticulous precision, rendering my fortune utterly unreachable. Eric's face, once so smug and self-assured, turned an ashen shade of white. He stammered, he spluttered, his carefully constructed facade crumbling before the entire courtroom. He was caught, exposed, utterly undone. He had gambled everything on my supposed naivete, on his ability to manipulate me, and he had lost spectacularly. The judge, a stern but fair woman, listened intently to the evidence, her expression impassive, but her eyes held a distinct glimmer of professional satisfaction. She ruled unequivocally in my favor, dismissing all of Eric's claims and ordering him to pay my substantial legal fees. Across the courtroom, Eric resembled a ghost, nervous, jumpy, utterly lost. Leo, his lawyer, simply stared blankly ahead, her once formidable composure completely shattered. The judge's ruling was not met with triumphant shouts or exultant celebrations from my side. It was greeted with a profound, almost reverent, silence. Not with relief, but with an overwhelming sense of finality. After the hearing concluded, Eric, now utterly devoid of his former arrogance, attempted to speak to me in the hallway. "You didn't have to do this," he mumbled, his voice quiet, almost pathetic. I looked him directly in the eye, my gaze steady and unwavering. "No, Eric," I replied, my voice calm but resolute, "you didn't have to do this." Then, I turned and walked away. For good. The weeks that followed were marked by a profound and restorative quiet. I took slow, deliberate steps, savoring each moment of newfound freedom. I returned to my writing, the words flowing with an effortless grace that had long eluded me. I walked through Central Park, inhaling the crisp, invigorating air, feeling the sun on my face, truly present in the moment for the first time in years. I allowed silence to replace the deafening chaos that had once consumed my life. I didn't celebrate my victory. Instead, I reflected. Because winning doesn't always feel like unbridled joy. Sometimes, it feels like the profound peace that follows a devastating hurricane. Sometimes, it's simply the liberating freedom to breathe again, unburdened by the weight of someone else's lies and betrayals. And through it all, I learned something invaluable. Something every woman, every person, should engrave upon their heart. Trust is a precious gift, to be given cautiously, to be earned with unwavering sincerity. But control over your own life, over your own destiny? That is an inherent right. No matter how charming someone may initially appear, no matter how persuasive their words, never, ever relinquish your power blindly. Know your inherent worth. Guard your future with unyielding vigilance. And if someone ever attempts to destroy you with insidious lies, do not break. Stand tall, stand firm, and allow the undeniable truth to resonate, to shout louder, far louder, than any fleeting desire for mere revenge. If you're still reading this, thank you for listening to my story. And if this narrative resonated deeply with you, if it stirred something profound within your own experiences, please consider sharing it. Like it, comment on it. Let someone else know, with unwavering certainty, that they are not alone in their struggles. Because true strength, it's not merely surviving the storm. It's learning to own the vast, boundless sky long after the tempest has finally passed. It's learning to truly breathe again,